Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I am Ashley. I'm a homeschooling mom with 7 kiddos ranging from 7th grade down to almost a year. I currently homeschool about 5 of them, and we were in public school. This is going on our 4th year of homeschooling. We just started. So my older 2 were actually in public school. So if you are coming from public school and are kind of transitioning to this homeschool life, you are in the right place because I know what that's like. So I did a video on the kindergarten curriculum choices a while back. And now that we have kind of gotten into the swing of things, this is our 4th week? I don't know, close to our 4th week, 3rd or 4th week, I think 4th. I have been able to kind of see what works best and what doesn't for some of my kids. And my kindergartner is one that has never stepped foot in a private preschool, which is what my other 3 have done. Obviously never stepped foot in a public school either. And so kind of learning that, I've always said learning that foundation and learning those like simple things that you need to get started, like letters and numbers and all of that good stuff, I feel like is harder and more pressure than like homeschooling older kids. I feel like you have to figure out for each child, because each child learns sometimes so differently, you have to figure out what works best, what their learning style is. Do they like a lot of just practice, busy work? Do they like more hands-on stuff? Do they like, tracing? Do they hate tracing? And so I've kind of had to kind of play around with things this year for my kindergartner and see what works best for him, because last year in pre-K, he really had trouble with he could recognize letters, but retaining that information was hard for him. And so I've kind of had to flip things around a little bit. I had mentioned in my kindergarten video that he was going to be using, or we were going to be trying, the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts Level K. We have not used that this year so far. Looking at it, he needed to have more of a grasp of the letters and the sounds and things like that. So I'm kind of in between right now. My change is for this year so far is that I have not started the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts Level K. I feel like it is too advanced for him right now. There's no way he would know what he was doing. And I kind of, when I flipped through it, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be right at his level. I have said before that for the most part, all of the levels have matched up with my kids' actual grade levels. But that's with kids who have already had this foundation pretty much established. And if anything, it's kind of a grade, I don't want to say a grade over, but I believe that their curriculum really is at a higher level, a little bit more than public school pace. So when I started looking at it, I said, this would not work for him. Like, this isn't going to work. This is not, he will not understand this. He will not grasp this. It's just going to be a waste of time. So, as a parent who my kids have come from public school, and obviously I was in public school, it is important to me to know what grade your child is in. I'm sorry, my cat's tail is just always in the frame somehow. It has always been important to me for somebody to say, what grade are you in? Kindergarten, 1st grade. not like well, I'm somewhere in between, I don't know, or I'm somewhere in between kinder and first, or first and second, somewhere in there. It's always been kind of a pet peeve of mine, for people when you ask what grade and their kids are like, I don't know, I'm just, learning. But I feel like my kindergartner he is doing great in math, the level K math, that the Good and the Beautiful has. That is what we use for his math. He's doing great with that. There are a lot of things. I feel like he does better with his numbers, as opposed to his letters. But he's very meticulous, and so he gets frustrated easily. And so trying to find that balance of how he learns better. I have found that repetition is key for him. And things that he enjoys, watching DVDs, that alphabet DVDs, he enjoys those. He enjoys coloring. He enjoys crafts. He likes tracing to an extent. He kind of fades off after a little bit. And so it sometimes gets kind of hard to keep his attention. And that is also something that I've noticed, is kind of keeping up, like not saying, okay, we're going to take a little break. Let's take a 15-minute break. No, we got to keep going and finish it all at once, or else he just loses track. And so I was kind of frustrated at first, because I really felt like I did not want to be one of those homeschool moms that did not know what grade their child was in. And so I'm not going to that extent. I'm not going that far to say my kid is not in kindergarten. I am still going to say he is in kindergarten, because I feel like the majority of what he does is kindergarten. And also in, years past, recent years, there have been so many changes in kindergarten curriculum. For example, when I was in kindergarten, that's where you learn to read. That is, where your foundation was, because a lot of kids did not go to preschool, and a lot of kids still don't go to preschool. And so sometimes the first time they step foot in a school is kindergarten. And so I know when my second kid was in kindergarten and she was reading chapter books, and then there were kids that didn't even know how to write their name, I know there's a huge gap. There is a huge gap. And I've said this before, I honestly do not know how teachers close that gap between having kids that can read like amazingly, and then some kids that don't even know their letters or know the sounds of the letters. Like, how in the world do you teach that? I commend you, because I don't know how you do that. I know it has to be done somehow, but I also know that in my daughter's kindergarten class, they would cater more towards the kids that didn't know anything, or know as much as some of the other kids. And so she would get bored, or she would be like the class helper, which was great, and gave her responsibility, but she wasn't learning anything at that time. So my point in this is that the curriculum, I guess, the checkpoints of kindergarten have changed so much in recent years. And I feel like our expectations of kindergarten and what they are supposed to know is way up here. And that's just not always the case. And I have to keep reminding myself that my kids are homeschooling so that they can somewhat go at their own pace as well. And if there is something that they are struggling in, that we stop and we have the time, because we have all the time in the world right now, to an extent, again, to go over these things and to make sure that they understand that, instead of, falling in a hole with a bunch of other, 20-something kids and getting lost, amongst all those kids. So my second kid actually went to a Kinderbridge program. It's more social skills, as opposed to, she wasn't socially ready. She wasn't emotionally ready, as opposed to knowing what she needed to know. She knew all that she needed to know for her age group, but emotionally, she was not ready. She has a late summer birthday, and we went ahead and kept her in Kinderbridge instead of going straight to kindergarten. I feel like my 5-year-old is in between that level. I feel like he is more at a Kinderbridge level. There are things that he excels at that I know he would excel at in kindergarten. And there are some things that he is learning, but learning slower. He just kind of learned how to perfect his name, his first name, without looking at his first name and copying it. So that was a big thing for him. He was very proud of himself, and also getting him excited about those little milestones and those things that he does himself is also key in him getting motivated and wanting to keep learning and wanting to know these letters and the sounds that they make so that he can write things without having to look at them. So in a nutshell, I feel like, number one, we are not using the Good and the Beautiful curriculum yet. I am not using a set language arts or reading curriculum for him. We are going to strictly focus on the letters, and this is after some talking with, I have a very dear friend that's a public school teacher, and another friend that's a homeschooler, and then a friend that's kiddo goes to private school. So I have a wide variety of directions, that I can take advice from. And so I wanted to get their opinion, and they kind of agreed that let him go at his own pace. That is why we are homeschooling. It is a big plus to homeschool. And I feel like stopping and making sure that we understand all the letters, that we understand the sounds, it will not do any good for him to go on and start reading or trying to introduce reading when you don't even know all the letter sounds. Another thing that I've noticed too is that he can pick out letters in the middle of the alphabet or at the end of the alphabet, but some like in between those, he's kind of stuck on. And so we are constantly going over these letters, constantly. Another trick that I have learned that he likes to do, I will put like a bunch of board books out on the floor, and I'll say, I want you to pick out the letter B for me. Where in all these books in the title do you see letter B? That's kind of, it's like he's picking it out, so I'm not sitting here just showing it to him saying, what is this, to where maybe he's memorized it. I want you to look at all these letters and tell me and point to me which one is letter B in these titles. That actually he's enjoyed doing. So I just wanted to kind of give an update and kind of change up what we are doing, and just to let you know that we are not doing a formal language arts curriculum like I had planned. I did not return it. I'm going to keep it, and because obviously he's going to use it. If he doesn't use it this year, he'll use it next year. But I feel like making sure that foundation is super strong is more important than trying to push him into in a subject that I don't feel like he's ready to go and move into. So just keep that in mind if you also have a kiddo that maybe is a little bit behind, but is maybe thriving in other areas. And I'm not going to say he's in preschool, because he's not. I'm going to say he's in kindergarten, but there are just some things that we're working more on. And really, what is the definition of kindergarten? I mean, honestly, it's more so your age. His birthday is a right before summer birthday, so technically he could be in Kinderbridge. I'm not going to, change what his grade is, but I'm just going to use kindergarten loosely, and pull concepts still from pre-K. And I will say working on him with those things has tremendously increased the alphabet knowledge of my 3-year-old. He can pick out letters now, so that's going to make it super easy. So kind of kill two birds with one stone. But they also share workbooks. So I'm really just kind of using workbooks. I'm using the games. I'm using the DVDs, just to make sure he gets all of that and the letters and the sounds, and make sure that we grasp and understand that. So just wanted to go over that change with you if you are kind of in the same boat, or even at a different grade level. If you feel like, well, my kid is supposed to be in 3rd grade, but there are concepts that we're not grasping. It is okay to use that 3rd grade loosely and still pull from the grade underneath it. So if you have any questions, let me know down below. Any comments, any questions about anything, or anything that you want me to expand on, let me know down below. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.